September in Boston was when the heat began to ease. Olivia White gazed out of her advertising agency office window and took a deep breath. An invitation sat on her desk. A card with gold trim exuded luxury and bore the words, "The Wedding of Caroline White and James Walker," in beautiful script. "Olivia, it's time for the client meeting," her colleague Sarah called out. Olivia had built her career as an account executive at Creative Impact, a major advertising agency. Always forward-looking even after her divorce, she balanced work while raising her 16-year-old daughter Emma and 13-year-old son Michael on her own. "Thanks, Sarah. I'll be right there." Olivia sighed quietly as she tucked the invitation into her drawer. Her relationship with her sister Caroline was complicated. Since childhood, Caroline had been obsessed with gaining their parents' attention. Now, she was engaged to James Walker, one of Boston's premier real estate developers, and the entire family couldn't stop talking about her wedding. That evening, Olivia returned to her home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. In the living room, Emma was working on homework, and Michael was editing something on his laptop. "I'm home. How was your day?" "Mom, look. I've almost finished the video for my school project." Michael showed his mother the screen. Despite his young age, he showed remarkable talent for video editing. Even though it had been 5 years since the divorce from her ex-husband Thomas, the children
Do you know some people earn over $10,000 a month just by posting Reddit stories on YouTube? No face, no voice, just a laptop. I do it too, link below if you're curious.
sometimes felt their father's absence, but Michael in particular maintained his emotional balance by immersing himself in creative activities. "That's wonderful, Michael. You're so talented." Emma looked up from the sofa and said, "Hey, Mom. Grandma called. About Aunt Caroline's wedding." Olivia asked as she headed to the kitchen, "What did she say?" "That we should all dress up properly for the wedding. And also," Emma continued, choosing her words carefully, "she mentioned Michael. She asked, can that boy wear proper clothes and behave himself?" Olivia tried to keep her voice calm as she took water from the refrigerator. "Of course he can. Michael is a well-behaved boy." Michael shrugged without taking his eyes off the screen. He already understood how his Aunt Caroline and grandmother Eleanor felt about him. The following Sunday, Olivia took the children to brunch at her mother Eleanor's mansion. The large estate overlooking the Charles River was the result of her late father Richard White's success in the insurance business. After her father passed away, Eleanor maintained her upper-class lifestyle. "Olivia, you're finally here," Eleanor air-kissed her daughter's cheek. "Emma, you look lovely. And Michael, well, you've grown." In the living room, Caroline sat on the sofa with her fiancé James. Caroline radiated perfection with her flawless blonde hairstyle, designer dress, and sparkling diamond engagement ring. "Sister, you came." Caroline stood up and gave Olivia a light hug. She hugged Emma too, but only smiled at Michael. "It's good to see you, Aunt Caroline," Michael greeted her politely. "Yes, indeed." Caroline quickly looked away and introduced James. "This is my fiancé, James." During brunch, conversation revolved around wedding details. Caroline talked endlessly about the luxurious venue, famous wedding planner, and the socialites she had invited. Eleanor listened attentively to her daughter, occasionally interjecting, "Caroline has always been perfect." "I want Michael and Emma to attend," Caroline suddenly said. "Of course, if they can stay quiet," she gave Michael a meaningful look. "Of course, they're both well-behaved," Olivia replied quietly. After the meal, Emma was taken to the terrace to see photos of Caroline's wedding dress. Olivia helped her mother in the kitchen. "Caroline is making a good match," Eleanor said while washing glasses. "She's always been lucky. Unlike you." Olivia didn't react. This was her mother's old habit. Eleanor seemed to view Olivia's divorce as a family failure. Marrying someone like Thomas was a mistake. Creative types are unstable. I worry Michael might be turning out the same way. Olivia slowly put down her towel. Mother, Michael is very talented and compassionate. I'm proud of him. Eleanor shrugged. I'm just concerned. Caroline's wedding must be perfect. I hope nothing goes wrong. In the living room, Michael was talking with James. Olivia felt slightly relieved seeing them deep in conversation about video editing. At least James seemed interested in Michael's talent. As they were leaving, Caroline pulled Olivia aside. I'll be honest. I'm worried about Michael. He's a bit different, isn't he? I don't want him ruining my wedding. Olivia took a deep breath before answering. Caroline, Michael won't cause any problems. He's a wonderful boy. You just haven't given him a fair chance. Caroline pressed her lipsticked lips together. Just make sure he's well behaved before the wedding. In the car on the way home, Olivia thought quietly. 2 weeks until the wedding. She had tolerated a lot because it was her sister's special day. But when it came to her children, Olivia's patience had limits. Especially when it came to her sister's attitude toward Michael. Michael watched his mother's profile from the back seat. Mom, I don't have to go to the wedding. I know Aunt Caroline doesn't want me there. Olivia caught her son's eyes in the rearview mirror and smiled gently. No, Michael. We're family. We'll go together. Don't worry. But Olivia herself was anxious. As Caroline's wedding approached, she had a feeling that something unexpected might happen. Emma, what do you think of this necklace? Olivia asked her daughter while facing the mirror in their hotel room. At the upscale Riverview Plaza hotel overlooking the Charles River, Caroline and James's rehearsal dinner was scheduled for that evening. Olivia had chosen a navy blue chiffon dress and styled her hair in an elegant updo. It looks great on you, Mom, Emma replied while fixing her straight brown hair. She wore a light pink dress, projecting a mature air. Michael, are you ready yet? The bathroom door opened, and Michael appeared in a navy suit. With a seriousness and composure unusual for a 13-year-old, he nervously adjusted his tie. Does this look okay? Perfect, Olivia smiled warmly. You both look wonderful. Let's go. The hotel's banquet room was decorated elegantly. Crystal chandeliers, white rose arrangements, and gold accents created a luxurious atmosphere. About 50 guests had gathered, most of them upper-class society members. Caroline stood in the center of the room in a gold sequin dress, greeting guests with her fiancé James. When Olivia and her children entered, she smiled, but her eyes remained cold. Sister, you came. Emma, lovely dress. Michael, well, you look grown up. Congratulations, Caroline, Olivia said calmly. Beautiful venue. James joined the group and greeted Olivia politely. He was an attractive man in his early 40s, with gentle eyes and a confident demeanor. Olivia, thank you for bringing your children. Caroline has told me about them. Emma and Michael, right? When James offered his hand to Michael, the boy responded politely despite his nervousness. Congratulations on your marriage, Mr. James. As dinner began, guests were directed to their tables. Olivia and her children were seated far from the main table. The other guests at their table were Caroline's company colleagues. Mom, where's Grandma? Emma asked quietly. Olivia glanced at the main table and spotted Eleanor sitting next to Caroline. Over there. She's busy today as the mother of the bride. During dinner, speeches were given by James's friends, including Daniel Carter, an executive at Refresh Beverages. In his mid-40s, he was known as a warm-hearted businessman. James, I've known you since college, and there's no man more sincere and thoughtful. Carter raised his glass. Caroline, you found a wonderful partner. Cheers. After the appetizer, during a short break before the main course, Michael was looking at something on his smartphone. When Olivia peeked, she saw it was a video project he was editing. For the school contest. Olivia smiled. Yes. It's almost done. Just then, James approached their table. What are you looking at, Michael? Michael was a bit startled but showed him the screen. It's my school video project. The theme is the future of our city. James showed interest and sat down next to him. Wow, did you make this yourself? It's amazing. The editing and music are excellent. Thank you, Michael's face brightened. In the future, I'd like to work in video production or advertising. Actually, I was interested in film when I was younger too. Before going into real estate, I briefly worked in advertising. As their conversation continued, Caroline approached the table. Her expression hardened when she saw James sitting at her nephew's table, talking enthusiastically. James, darling. The Walkers want to meet you, she said in a sweet voice, but her eyes were cold. James stood up and patted Michael's shoulder lightly. Let's talk more later. I'm looking forward to seeing your project. After James left, Caroline remained standing, looking down at Michael. You shouldn't bother adults. Especially on an important day like today. Caroline, Michael wasn't doing anything wrong, Olivia said quietly. James approached him. Yes, James is too kind, Caroline laughed coldly. But remember, Michael. Tomorrow is my special day, so don't stand out. Having a special child like you makes everyone uncomfortable. Michael's face drained of color. Emma couldn't contain her anger and raised her voice. Special? What do you mean? Michael is a normal kid. Emma, calm down, Olivia gently took her daughter's hand. Then she turned to Caroline. Caroline, stop talking like that in front of the children. Did I say something? Caroline feigned innocence. I'm just worried about tomorrow. I want everything to be perfect. After she left, Michael fell silent and stopped eating. Olivia put her arm around his shoulders. Don't worry, Michael. Your aunt is just nervous. At the end of the dinner, Eleanor came to Olivia. Be at the venue by 10 tomorrow. Don't be late. She glanced at her grandchildren, particularly Michael, and said, and I expect proper behavior. It's Caroline's important day. I understand, Mother, Olivia answered in a tired voice. Back in the hotel room, while the children were showering, Olivia stepped onto the balcony for a deep breath. Looking at the moon shining over the Charles River, she felt anxious about tomorrow. Her sister's attitude was worsening, but Olivia had continued to tolerate it to maintain family harmony. However, she was ready to stand up if necessary to protect her children. Mom, are you okay? Emma came out to the balcony in her bathrobe. Yes, just thinking, Olivia embraced her daughter. You're a wonderful sister. Always protecting Michael. Of course. We're family, Emma looked at her mother with serious eyes. Hey, Mom. If something bad happens tomorrow, what will we do? Olivia stroked her daughter's hair gently and answered, then we'll handle it in our own way. With pride and caring for each other. Back in the room, Michael sat on the bed, looking anxious about tomorrow's wedding. Olivia knelt before him and took both his hands. Michael, you're a wonderful son. No matter what happens tomorrow, don't forget that. Michael nodded slowly. Mom, I'll be good. I don't want to ruin Aunt Caroline's special day. Olivia was touched by her son's sincerity. The wedding day morning began with a clear blue sky. The historic St. Andrew's Church in suburban Boston was decorated with white roses and gold ribbons, creating an atmosphere worthy of Caroline's dream, perfect wedding. Emma, Michael, hurry up. It's already 9:45, Olivia urged her children in the hotel room. She wore an elegant salmon pink dress with her hair in gentle waves. Emma wore a lilac dress, and Michael was dressed in a new black suit. Don't be nervous, Olivia told Michael in the car. He remained silent, staring out the window the entire time. Today, just sit quietly and everything will be fine. When they arrived at the church, many guests had already gathered. People in glamorous dresses and expensive suits had come to celebrate Caroline and James's society wedding. Olivia spotted her mother Eleanor, wearing an expensive silver dress, greeting guests. Finally, you're here, Eleanor said to Olivia. Caroline is in the preparation room. The ceremony will begin soon, so take your seats. Family is in the third row from the front. The ceremony proceeded solemnly and grandly. Caroline, in her designer wedding gown, walked like a magazine model. James gazed at her with loving eyes, and the two looked like a fairy tale couple. Olivia sat between Emma and Michael, maintaining a calm expression. After the ceremony, guests moved to the ballroom of the nearby luxury hotel, Estate by the Sea. The room was decorated in white and gold, with crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, and hundreds of candles adorning the space. At the reception, Olivia gave her name to the attendant. The attendant checked the list and smiled. Yes, table 14. This way, please. The three were guided to a table at the edge of the ballroom. It was near the entrance, farthest from the main table. Several guests were already seated at the table. They were junior employees from Caroline's company. Olivia checked Emma and Michael's seats. Emma's place had a name card, but at Michael's place was a small folded card. As Michael was about to sit down, Olivia noticed the card. Wait, Michael, she picked up the card and opened it. In beautiful script, it read, "Reserved for trash." Olivia went pale. Emma looked over her mother's shoulder at the card and gasped. Michael couldn't understand what was happening, but seeing their reactions, he looked anxious. What does it say? Olivia closed the card and stood up. I'm going to check something. Both of you, wait here. She returned to the reception attendant and showed the card. What does this mean? The attendant looked at the card with a confused expression. I'm sorry, this is. She stumbled over her words and called another staff member. A few minutes later, the wedding planner came over. Is there a problem? Olivia showed the card and asked calmly, why was this card placed at my son's seat? The wedding planner blushed and stared at the card. This is the bride's instruction. She personally checked the table settings. Olivia couldn't hide her shock. Caroline instructed this to be placed there. Yes, she was particularly insistent about this table's arrangement. Olivia returned to the table and sat next to her children. Her hands were trembling slightly. Michael looked at his mother with a confused expression. Mom, what happened? Just then, Eleanor approached the table. What's wrong, Olivia? Is there a problem? Olivia quietly stood up and showed her mother the card. This was placed at my son's seat. Eleanor looked at the card and seemed momentarily surprised, but then started laughing. Well, it's a joke, a joke. Caroline always has this kind of humor. Humor? Olivia said in disbelief. You think this is humor directed at a 13-year-old child? At that moment, Caroline approached the table with James. She had changed into a pure white reception dress and wore a perfect smile. What's wrong, sister? Is there a problem? Olivia showed the card. Did you put this at Michael's seat? Caroline flinched momentarily but quickly regained her smile. Oh, that. Just a little joke. It's so lame if you can't take a joke, she laughed. James looked at the card with a confused expression. Caroline, this is just a little family joke, James. Caroline took his arm and pulled him close. My sister is always too serious. Olivia looked at Michael. His face was pale, and his lips were trembling. Emma stood up with a mixture of anger and sadness on her face and placed her hand on her brother's shoulder. A joke? Emma's voice trembled. You think this is a joke? At that moment, Olivia noticed Daniel Carter standing nearby, watching the situation. His gaze held sympathy and something like resolve. Olivia slowly stood up and took her children's hands. She looked into her daughter's eyes, then her son's, and nodded quietly. It was a message that needed no words. Let's go, she said calmly. Olivia, sit down, Eleanor quickly said. Everyone is watching. Don't ruin Caroline's wedding. Olivia looked at her mother and said in a surprisingly calm voice, Mother, you should learn what it means to protect your family. She left the venue with her children. Looking back, she could see a triumphant expression on Caroline's face. James was confused, at a loss for words. And Daniel Carter was watching them leave with a serious expression. As they left the hotel, Michael said in a small voice, Mom, because of me. No, Michael, Olivia cradled her son's face in her hands. You did nothing wrong. This is Caroline's problem. What's important is that we're together as a family. Emma hugged her brother's shoulders, and the three walked to the car, huddled together. 3 days later, Caroline had returned from a short vacation and was back at her marketing company, Global Impressions, office. Her desk was adorned with congratulatory flower arrangements, and colleagues had given her cards celebrating her marriage. Caroline walked confidently toward the executive meeting room, flashing her new wedding ring. Good morning, everyone, she entered glamorously. Sorry for the absence. Now, let's start preparing for the big presentation. As the senior marketing director in charge of the new campaign for Refresh Beverages, Caroline was confident that securing this contract would be a stepping stone to her promotion. At the same time, at a middle school in suburban Boston, Michael White was hearing the results of the school video contest. Congratulations, Michael White. Your Future of Our City has been selected as the winning entry, art teacher Mr. Green announced. The judges particularly appreciated the creativity and clarity of message in your work. Classmates applauded, and Michael smiled shyly. It had been difficult to recover from the wedding incident, but this good news gave him renewed confidence. Around 2 p.m., there was a sudden development in Caroline's office. Her secretary rushed into the room looking flustered. Caroline, it's terrible. We've heard from Refresh Beverages that they're reconsidering the contract. What? Caroline jumped from her chair. That's impossible. Last week, we had almost agreed on the terms. The secretary continued with an anxious expression. It was a direct message from Mr. Daniel Carter. He said they are considering a new direction. Caroline immediately picked up the phone and dialed Carter's number. Her fingers trembled slightly with anger and anxiety. Daniel, what's happening? Is there a problem with our campaign? From the other end of the phone came Carter's calm voice. Caroline, let me be frank. We've decided to reconsider our contract with your company. We're looking for partners who align with our corporate philosophy and values. What are you talking about? Our presentation was perfect. You admitted it yourself. Carter exhaled briefly. This isn't about the presentation. Rather, it's about humanity. Humanity? Caroline was confused. Caroline, I was at your wedding. I saw the card placed at the young boy's seat. And I saw your response afterward. Carter's voice turned cold. Refresh Beverages is a family-oriented company. Our values include compassion and respect. The character and values demonstrated by your company's employee do not align with our corporate philosophy. Caroline was speechless. That's a private matter. It has nothing to do with business. Everything is connected, Carter said quietly. Goodbye. After the call ended, Caroline slumped in her chair, stunned. Losing the company's biggest client would be a major blow to her career. And the fact that it was caused by her own actions was hard to accept. Meanwhile, at Olivia's office, an unexpected call came through. Olivia White speaking. Ms. Olivia, this is Daniel Carter from Refresh Beverages. Olivia sat back in her chair, surprised. Mr. Carter, how can I help you? I'm calling about your son, Michael. I know his age and school, but do you have an opportunity to see his video work? Yes, of course, Olivia answered, though confused. He just won his school's contest today. That's wonderful, Carter's voice was warm. Actually, we're planning a new campaign targeting youth. The theme is the future from a young person's perspective. I thought it might be a project where Michael's talent could shine. Olivia gasped. You want to feature my son in a marketing campaign? Yes, specifically his work and perspective. Of course, we'll provide compensation. Considering his age, we want to proceed from an educational standpoint. In a way that you as a parent would approve of. After the conversation ended, Olivia left her office and took a deep breath in her car. She didn't fully understand what was happening, but it was clear that Carter's call was related to the events at the wedding. That evening, Olivia talked with Michael. She sat at the kitchen table, facing her son. Michael, I received a call today from a businessman. He's interested in your work. Michael's eyes widened. My work? Yes. A company called Refresh Beverages. They're thinking about a new campaign for young people and are looking for perspectives like yours. Olivia took her son's hands. What do you think? Are you interested? Michael pondered. But I'm only 13. Can I really do professional work? They believe in your talent. So do I, Olivia smiled gently. Of course, if you don't want to, you can decline. After a moment of silence, Michael slowly raised his head. I want to try. I'm scared but I want to take on the challenge. Olivia hugged her son. You're a wonderful boy, Michael. No matter what happens, don't forget that. After dinner, Olivia's cell phone rang. It was her mother Eleanor. Olivia, I can't believe it. Caroline lost the Refresh Beverages contract. She's in trouble. Do you know anything about this? Olivia answered quietly, No, I don't know the details. This has never happened before. Eleanor's voice was confused. Caroline thinks you're involved. Is that true? Mother, Olivia said while looking out the kitchen window, people should take responsibility for their actions. Caroline needs to learn that someday. After hanging up, Olivia headed to the living room. Emma and Michael were watching TV on the sofa. Listening to their laughter, Olivia thought, this is the real victory. That her children have confidence and are moving forward. And that they know they are never alone. Cut. Perfect, Michael. The director signaled, and applause echoed in the studio. It was the final day of shooting for Refresh Beverages' new youth campaign, Draw the Future. Michael smiled shyly under the lights. 6 months had passed since the wedding. In Olivia's office, where Boston's autumn sunlight streamed through the windows, she was making final adjustments to the marketing plan for Refresh Beverages. It was the biggest project of her career and was attracting significant attention at her advertising agency. Olivia, Mr. Carter is here, her secretary announced. Daniel Carter entered the office with a warm smile. The ratings data for Michael's campaign is in. The results are better than expected. That's wonderful, Olivia said happily. Michael is gaining confidence too. His grades at school have improved, and he's made new friends. Carter sat down and took a coffee cup. Actually, I have something else to discuss today, he hesitated, then continued. I want to be honest about that day. Olivia nodded quietly. When I was young, I had an experience similar to your son's, Carter said, looking out the window. At a relative's wedding, I was bullied and humiliated. At the time, I didn't have the courage to speak up. He turned his gaze back to Olivia. When I saw the card at Michael's seat at that wedding, I couldn't ignore it. But it wasn't just about retribution. I wanted to give a child with his talent a fair opportunity. Olivia couldn't hide her emotion. Thank you. Your actions have brought great change to our family. That weekend, there was a small family gathering at Eleanor's house to celebrate the success of Michael's campaign. Surprisingly, Eleanor had greatly changed her attitude toward her grandchildren. Michael, Grandma is proud of you. Eleanor placed her hand on her grandson's shoulder. And I need to apologize to you for not trying to see your talent all this time. Michael smiled and hugged his grandmother. Emma watched the two, secretly winking at her mother. Caroline wasn't present. She had been demoted at her company, held responsible for losing a major client. Rumors suggested her relationship with James had cooled. However, Olivia had recently received an apologetic email from her sister. It was brief, but at least showed signs of regret. After dinner, Olivia went out to the terrace and looked up at the starry sky. Emma came beside her and leaned on her shoulder. Mom, how did you feel that day when we left the wedding? Olivia reflected. I was sad. But more than that, I felt proud that I could stand up for you both. Our family has gotten better, hasn't it? Emma said quietly. Michael joined them on the terrace, and the three huddled together under the starry sky. As Olivia gazed at her children, she thought, a true family is a bond where people support each other through difficult times and protect one another. And sometimes, having the courage to stand up and say, no, can open the door to a better future. Come on, let's go inside. Olivia embraced their shoulders and walked toward the warm light of the house. A new beginning awaited them.